Hi everyone, I'm Dawn. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for visiting with me today. So today's video, we're just going to chat. I want to talk about why I hate it when people say things like, she's still your mother, and why I'm distancing myself from my family. I mean, other than Eric and Marshall, they're my family, not them, but like, this is just why it is the way it is. And it might bring up a lot of stuff, so we'll just see where it goes. But so I can give hundreds, if not more than that, examples of why she's still your mother is not going to fly with me. But I will talk about, I can talk about two incidences, but one I've talked about before in a previous video. If I could find that video, I will link it down below. But this is another one I want to share with y'all, and this is probably worse, definitely worse, because she's encouraging a word we're not allowed to say on here. But so this lady at work several years ago said that I was saying something to another coworker. We were talking about moms or something, and I just like made a remark like, whatever, I don't want to talk about my mom. And this coworker was like, she's still your mother. Okay. And I just kind of ignored it. And then one day something else about moms came up, and I just kind of like just distanced myself from the conversation. So she asked me, what is your problem with your mom? She's your mother. You're supposed to respect your parents. The Bible says, let me stop you right there. And then I told her what the problem was. And I said, I'm just going to give you one example, but I can give you a million more if you'd like. And I said, one day I was in the seventh grade. So I was 12 years old, and I came home from school, and there was nothing happened. I wasn't in trouble. I didn't do anything wrong. It was just, she was sitting at the dinner table with a bottle of, I think it was called Nytol, over-the-counter sleeping pills. And she told me, she just said, you should take this whole bottle, cut your wrist, and hang yourself from the balcony so the world doesn't have to deal with you. My mother said that to me. Not that there's ever a good reason to say that to somebody, but nothing happened. There was like, I didn't do anything to upset her or anything. It's just, that's what she decided she was going to tell me when I got home from school. Right? And I just remember it as being very traumatic. And I just was like, well, what did I do? She goes, you didn't do anything. I just want you to take these pills, cut your wrist, and hang yourself from the balcony before you do something. Because you're a disruption in my life. And just like, I've been at school all day. I have no idea what happened. But yeah, she said that to me. And this right here, other than with that lady, this is the first time I've told more than that lady. Because it's so, well, it's not so much painful anymore. I'm over it. She was a terrible person and a horrible mother, and I know that now. But that is why I hate when people say, she's still your mother. I didn't have a mother. I had someone that gave birth to me and did the minimum necessary to keep me alive. But mother, no, we're not going to call her that. And the reason I'm distancing myself from my family is they've just never seen it. And as horrible as that thing she said to me was, I've heard her say worse things, or things I perceive as worse, to my siblings. It's not my place to share those stories with you, but she had a pattern. She would get mad at one of us, and it didn't matter how old we were, because I remember being as young as 6, because I would be in kindergarten, and she had a pattern where one of us would get 2 weeks of the silent treatment. First she would say something like, take these pills or something, and then that would be followed by 2 weeks of the silent treatment. Imagine being in kindergarten and getting the silent treatment from your mother. Okay, she would do this, and then after 2 weeks, it was like clockwork. After 2 weeks, she would move on to the, okay, let me go back to the oldest now, and I'm going to say something terrible to him and then give him the silent treatment for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, it's going to go on to the next one and the next one and the next one. But the reason I'm distancing myself from my family is because they just, it's like they forgot all of this, you know? It's like, do you not remember when I got hit by a motorcycle and she told me I can lay there until my father gets home because I don't listen? Do you remember her saying when I broke my arm that was God punishing me for not listening to her, even though I was listening to her? I broke my arm because I was on roller skates and I heard her calling me, so I was going to skate home, fell down, broke my arm. You know, she has said that about my brother. If I can wreck this car to where only you would get killed, I would do it. But they still are like, she's still our mother. I'm like, you are allowed to recognize toxicity and say no more. But they didn't. They allowed it forever. You know, she died in 2009. My dad died in 1992. Still to this day, that is raw. My mom died in 2009, and there's nothing. And like not one tear was shed at her funeral. And I'm not bragging. I think that's very sad to live 70 something years and not one of your 5 children sheds a tear at your funeral. Because we were all crying at my dad's funeral, and my dad was a disciplinarian. He was a bit of a hard butt, but yeah, there was a difference between them. My only bitterness towards my dad is that, you know, they divorced and he left us with her, you know. I mean, we still saw him, you know, a lot, but just, and so that's why, you know, I don't like it when people are like, she's still your mother, and I'm distancing myself from my family because they just don't. And another reason I'm distancing myself from my family is because my son had cancer when he was a baby. And I'm not expecting money or anything from my family, but I did expect some level of support, like, you know, there, we're so sorry he has cancer. Except for his initial diagnosis, no one ever came to visit him in the hospital. I would have to, like, just make arrangements months in advance to even have anyone come over to have a meal with us. They just didn't want anything to do with us. But I have a relative who she's just filthy. She's a filthy, nasty person. And they have bent over backwards for her. They do everything for her. She's lazy. She lays on the couch all day and just keeps having babies that she ignores, she abuses, she cusses them out. Can you imagine cussing a 3-year-old out? That might be worse than the silent treatment. But anyway, yeah, they've just pretty much treated me like a pariah because I'm not allowing myself to be mistreated. And this one relative that they all just rally behind and support, you know, emotionally or whatever, just are 100% behind, is she's basically turned herself into a human toilet. She has let strange men do unspeakable things to her, and she brags about it at Easter dinner. And everyone just, well, she needs us. She needs help. Like, yeah, I had a kid with cancer and nobody even so much as visited him. It just, and I'm not talking about financial support, but, you know, family's supposed to be there for emotional support, and there was none. None, as far as my mom even tried to convince him I was lying about my kid having cancer. He's sitting here getting chemotherapy. Give me a break, lady. But, the family trash can, though, they just, my mom has done unspeakable things to all 5 of us, and apparently I'm the only one that ever saw the problem with her. And because I was never in a state where I would take those pills. I always knew that's not a good idea. But it probably wouldn't have been any surprise if I did. And then, and she was always like, don't tell anyone that I said this or did that. I was just joking. Like, really? That's a funny joke. So, yeah. It's awful. So and basically, she also said that the human garbage bag, the human toilet, behaved the way she did because of me. Is basically what she said. I'm like, I've had one other boyfriend before my husband, so I don't really know what you're talking about. But then that was actually the night I shut it down. You're not going to see your grandchild anymore. You are not going to talk to me like that. He is not going to be exposed to that bullshit. So, yeah. And that was after Marshall had gotten over his cancer and everything, but I still had to be careful with him. So, anyway. And so that's why I'm distancing myself from my family. It's a painful, horrible reminder of a terrible time in my life, and I'm happy now. I have a wonderful husband, a wonderful kid, perfect dogs. Aren't you perfect, Brian? Hello, good boy. So, I just don't need it. I don't need that in my life. So, people can stop asking me why I've distanced myself from them. They all have some kind of mental disorder that maybe what is it? Almost like a Stockholm syndrome or something. I don't know. She's been dead 21 years and she's still in control. Yeah, but not of me. Anyway, that's it. Sorry this was depressing. Thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to all of you later. Bye.